Friends here of the American Artist Professional League. My name again is John Bandish, one of the new board members here, doing social media work for the American Artist Professional League. Coming to you live. Usually we're coming to you live from sunny coastal Delaware. Today we are actually coming to you live from suburban Conshohocken, suburban Philadelphia in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. And we're going to do another interview session with another fellow board member, Lisa. I see that she has requested to come on. I'm just going to plug a couple things really quickly here. Don't forget, if you haven't already checked it out yet, the summer studio auction is live on bidsquare.com. You've got to register to go on to their website. It is live. It started on July 15th. It's going to go all the way to July 25th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m., July 25th. Your chance to own some of the best traditional realism-oriented art, fine art, that you're going to see out there today. We have some amazing members that do amazing things. If you get a chance to go check it out, I was blown away when I saw all the different things. But that being said, professionally board member, I think we did this. We're saying hi to a lot of people. I see a lot of people started on here. We don't want to do all that. We are trying to accept, Lisa. Sorry, we're not all the best here with technology. We're clicking accept, and I don't know why Instagram is taking as long as it is here. But anyway, so again, if you haven't already registered to see, we are accepting, Lisa. Hopefully this will all work. I see the accept coming on. We've clicking accept. So as this is just getting started, so again, and if you haven't, if you're a friend of ours but you haven't joined us or thought about joining us, you can go to AAPL Inc. .org, and you can either click on that through the links on our bio here on Instagram. You can go right into your browser and think about joining. We're a great organization to be a part of. There are a lot of great opportunities, including the Grand National Exhibition that's going to be taking place at the Salmagundi Club in New York. And that's an amazing show, an amazing opportunity. There's so many great people there to see. And there we've got Lisa. Hello.
Hi there. How are you?
Welcome to Instagram Live here with the American Artist Professional League. This is fellow board member Lisa. I'll give that much of an introduction for you, and basically kind of let you say who you are and what brought you to the American Artist Professional League, and yeah, go ahead and introduce yourselves for everybody watching.
Okay, I'm Lisa Zadravec, and I came to the American Artist Professional League because I'm a color pencil artist, and in a lot of realist circles, it's very oil painter, and I saw an artist that I know winning, Nancy J.C., who I follow from Facebook and everywhere, getting an award. I guess it was the spring show or the members show. And I said, oh, they don't mind color pencil artists here. I'm always looking for those galleries and organizations that are open to works on paper and colored pencil, because back in the old days, you couldn't even do work on paper. You better be on canvas or you're not getting in. And to be recognized as on the same level with some of those other portrait artists and realists and things that I like to do. So I came on board and then was asked to join the board, and I do like to help out in any organization that I'm in, which is sometimes overwhelming. But I know a lot of people just join up and pay their dues and they think that's it. And there's a lot of behind the scenes work. I know that because I chair a show down in Virginia, the Waterford Fine Art show. It's like the biggest and one of the best historic fairs in the country, and they have a wonderful fine art show that's been going on for 79 years. And I've been chairing that show for the last 6 years, and so I know about all the behind-the-scenes work when it's all done. What I wanted to say to our members is, it isn't necessary that you join the board necessarily. I did ask our president this, and you're allowed to volunteer to help out with things. Come help hang a show, help out with the website or the newsletter or something. Without also the monthly meetings and the other stuff, you can volunteer for individual jobs and come help us out, because even though we're about, how many are they now? 12 maybe board members, I think
so.
John. Yeah, but before that there were only like 5 or 6, they said, and they were trying to do everything. So
well, I think
let someone know it's
something that is near and dear to me. I think it's not necessarily, I think, something in vogue or perhaps even that's not really even mentioned so much. But getting involved and volunteering your time with organizations, you just never quite know what that can lead to. It's an opportunity for you to learn something, to grow, to meet people, to connect. And then in some ways, it's almost even better than sort of a resume addition. It's almost better in the sense that you get to meet people. And you just never quite know what will lead from one thing to the other. So any of you younger, maybe you're a student thinking about being a part of the American Artists Professional League. Maybe you're up there at the Art Student League in New York. You're part of the San Bandish Club. Or maybe you're somebody that's sitting down there in sunny Florida thinking about this. We are an organization that is across the United States. We've actually even had members from other countries, although we are centered here in the U.S. That doesn't mean that you can't get involved, and we're always happy to get involved. Especially, let's get some of the younger people in too. I think that's so. You're touching on something near and dear to me.
I just got something in the mail, and it was talking about how to enter competitions, and I'm working on a book on that. So, and I've written articles for magazines on that, and so I skimmed down their little list. And one of the things it said was, get to know your judge. It's always good to have these friends. But really, to get your foot in the door at like Salmagundi Club or with some of the artists who've been around for a while, and even us older people, sometimes, and I'll tell you a little bit more about me, we're coming back to art after a career of, I've never had a career of anything but an artist. But there was a period of time where I'm a single mom and I wasn't doing as much art or showing as much. And so there are a lot of people who had another career and then, then they're starting art. So young people, it's a foot in the door. Older people get there quicker. The people you meet, the opportunities that come your way. And then just also that kind of giving back, because people pay their dues, and I've had people say, well, we paid an entry fee to the show, isn't that paying for everything, the reception, the prizes? Somebody hangs the work on the wall, and it's usually volunteers, and somebody makes up the little labels or whatever, and those things are usually just volunteers, like collecting the prizes for the show, calling all those big companies and having them donate the prizes and awards and all that stuff. So it is really, the organizations like this really, they survive because of volunteers. So I always think, do your part. So here I am on the board.
So here we go.
I'm working with Jody on the website. That's mostly going to be my job. And I think I may be doing something with the newsletter too. I'm meeting about that next week. So specifically what that job is, I have in mind, but it hasn't been discussed what it will be. I know I have some writing background. I do come from a family of writers who are published. My sister Stephanie up in New York is a wonderful award-winning playwright. If you ever see a play by Lisa Zadravec, go to it. It'll be great. And my mother was a poet. My father and grandfather and uncle editors of major publications, and so people have their writing out there, and so that's on my agenda too. So I have written for articles for various magazines, and I'm getting to the point where they're kind of stacking up, and I can maybe make a book of them. Because I always said, well, I want to write a book, but I'm like, well, all these articles are kind of stacking up. They might make a book by some time. And
I think that some of these other creative outputs that you have influence one another. Does the writing sort of have an influence on some of your more visual?
Absolutely. Like I said before, I'm a colored pencil artist, but I'm really a storyteller. Like every single picture up here and that I've ever made has a story, and sometimes the title is enough, but I'm kind of like, the picture's worth 1,000 words, and I grew up around people who, they may write a book, they may write an article. I did the cover, it told the whole story. Like I sort of feel like I put the whole story into that picture, but they do have stories, and then on the other side, a lot of times I have literary references in the titles or in what's going on in the picture. Clearly that little dog is like playing Heidi in the Alps with his little. I'm pointing to it because it's right behind me. It's a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel acting like he's a Saint Bernard, and he's got his little barrel under him, and he just has his little look of pride. So every single one, colored pencil takes a long time to do, very labor intensive. I could oil paint a portrait of somebody quicker than I could draw them, but I love it. It's kind of a neurotic thing. It's like the relaxation of coloring, and then this like detail oriented kind of getting in there and wanting to do every eyelash and things that a brush won't do. And so you spend a lot of time with this piece, and I don't always set out to have this great story. I may get inspired by something. Like I drew this cow because it was a beautiful cow. It was a beautiful brown Jersey cow. They're so sweet looking. And then I started putting roses. I was putting it in a rose garden. I ended up giving it a crown of roses, and I didn't realize till the end, maybe long talking about it, I had really done it. And it's the closest thing to a self-portrait that I've probably ever drawn. Just a very ordinary animal that nourishes everybody around it, but she deserved a crown of roses. And I thought, oh, I just drew myself, but I drew it as a cow. I drew a similar character to what I was feeling at that time when I drew it and gave myself a crown of roses. I have another self-portrait I'm working on over here where I have a halo and I look like Madonna, but the Madonna, not Madonna. But
I love hearing some of the background about all of this. So talk, if you have just a couple of extra seconds here too, to talk just a little bit about your background as far as any training. Did you go to school? Where did you go to school at? Did you study with any particular artists? Maybe exclusively?
I was, like I said, lucky enough to have a mother who was in the arts, as a poet. If you want to make no money in the arts, be a poet. But you care about perfection and all of that. And she heard me at 4 saying, the art teacher at school is no good, and I have to take art somewhere else, and I'm going to be an artist. And in my head, I don't know what I said, but in my head, I just thought, she took me to artistic things in the National Gallery, and my grandparents lived in East Hampton, and this is how an artist lives. My work's going to hang there, right? And so as a young child, I was allowed to go to special art classes outside of school. And by 10, it was back in the days before all these kids programs. They didn't have a place at the Corcoran for a child in the Saturday program who wanted to paint. So I ended up in a painting class that was all adults and taught by Eric Rudd, who founded the Washington Project for the Arts. Took me just as seriously as everybody else, unless I was disturbing the photographers and running through the darkroom. But I was taking serious painting classes at 10. I did go back to the Corcoran on the college level, and I studied with William Newman. By that time, there was there's the DC Color School, but tongue-in-cheek, there was also the DC Color Pencil School. So I was introduced to color pencils at the college level, but it wasn't something taught in school back in those, in the early 80s. And he was a realist, and we sort of sought each other out. He saw what I was doing in my classes and said, you'll learn more in a class with me than you will in 4 years here at this school. And, I went to go study with him, and he was also doing oil painting and color pencil. I did oil painting in if you know, the Marache medium method, which is glazes. And so colored pencil, being also a wax-based medium, it's got oil wax lipids in it holding pigment in. It kind of does the same thing, and I like to layer my work until it looks like oil painting. And I'm pulling something off the wall because this is, like a John Singer Sargent that I did as a demo for class, and you can see it has all the look of the oil painting. And one of my goals in life is, those people who go down to the National Gallery or whatever museum and they are the copyists and you have to apply and all that. Yeah, I want to go down there and I want to do a Raphael in color pencil and sit there and kind of show them that's Raphael and I can do it in color pencil. I already know I can do the Sargent.
I love that.
Yeah, that's like my goal in life, and my next article might be about something about that, about doing work in homage to some great artists like this, because I do it all the time as a demo for my portrait classes. So I teach all the time. That's how I raised my kids, was teaching portraiture and color pencil, and portraiture in color pencil. And I teach down here for the Yellow Barn, plug the Yellow Barn studio. It's in Glen Echo Park in Washington, D.C., and it's very, to be on the faculty there, it's kind of like the college level. You're not just some art center. Walt Bartman, who runs it, picks people. Like when I went there and I sort of said, hey, do you want a color pencil teacher? And he goes, we don't have one, and I heard you're the person to talk to. And I was like, oh, good. Okay, I'm in. And, they have some really great teachers there. So that's sort of a prestigious place to be holding my classes through. Although I do them online now, ever since the quarantine. Pull my camera over, teach, and my students love it, not just because they're lazy and they don't want to lug their stuff down to a studio, but because the camera's right over and I'm doing such detailed work with colored pencil. And so
that's
William
awesome. That's one of the benefits of quarantine.
It's
interesting because you talked about having some really awesome goals. Along those lines, have you had any accomplishments that you feel like you could almost say sort of like wow, like that was a really big accomplishment, and like I can't believe you did that.
March of 2020, I was reminded this morning, when the whole world shut down, I was on the cover of a national magazine, one of those art magazines, and you're like, yay, I got on the cover, I'm going to promote this all over. I ordered a banner and extra copies to do a live event. Well, there wasn't another live event for the next 2 years. And I was sitting here with this banner on my wall going, nobody even knows, because it just kind of went past. Everybody was in a state of shock, and March 2020 was the month I got on the cover of the magazine. So I've been featured. I've been, there's a local magazine here in Frederick, Maryland, where I now live. I'm from the Washington, D.C. area, by the way. And it's a really good magazine. And I was like, oh, one day I want an article. Well, I was featured in I'm in a co-op gallery here, and I was the featured artist one month. Just opened the magazine, and they had just done the article. They didn't even ask me. I guess they got my press release or something and ran with it. And I was like, oh, I'm in there. I've had articles in Professional Artist Magazine, To The Point, which is the organizational magazine for the Colored Pencil Society of America. I'm going to forget some, but, like several. many publications. Like I said, the articles are stacking up enough to almost make a book now. So I have certain things like I want to aim the next one at, like international artist or, blah, blah, blah. Like I'm kind of throwing the darts a little more towards certain bullseyes, like the going down and being the copyist at the National Gallery, instead of just sort of in the beginning, you're kind of like just taking what comes. And, by the way, Salmagundi Club was on my bucket list. There's certain competitions, national competitions. I got first place a couple years ago in Manhattan Arts International. Like you want those national awards, you want to kind of step up out of the local recognition so I'm kind of going up that stepping up
That's
ladder.
awesome. Those are amazing accomplishments for anybody out there that's watching this now here live on Instagram, or possibly going to watch this a little later on down the road. These are all great accomplishments, and these are great goals to set. And I think sometimes even just getting accepted into an organization like the American Artists Professional League, which if you're not a member yet, you can go to our website, aaplinc.org, and you can submit an application. And one of the great things about us as an organization, and I think you would agree to this, is that we will give you feedback regardless of if you're accepted or not. And that feedback sometimes from peers is fantastic, because you don't always get that from other show submissions. Sometimes you submit something and then you just have to wait to hear back if you're accepted or not, and that's all you get sometimes.
Yeah. And there are different levels. There's always like just join and be a member, and then you win a certain number of awards or whatever, get accepted to shows, and you get your signature membership, which I have in Colored Pencil Society of America and the now defunct Colored Pencil Association of Australasia. There are different organizations that you can join and get to your master status or signature status. But I like that we have like the associate level and then the elected level. We all vote on the elected members. And speaking of that feedback, I think recently there was one where it was kind of like, hey, you're really good, but this may not be the organization for you, because this is an organization for realists. And that is good feedback to be giving people.
Yeah, so
Because
sometimes a great accomplishment can just be getting accepted into an organization. So for maybe if you're younger, or maybe you're having a second career in art, and you are thinking about this, that's a great accomplishment to have too. So we're kind of coming up towards the end of the time here, and I have a couple of fun, I think, questions for you. This isn't meant to sort of throw you off your game a little bit, but I think these are just fun questions because these have been asked to me. And boy, was I ever sort of stumped from it a little bit. And then I think they're just fun.
I know it's what food are you? I know the answer.
Okay.
I got asked that one.
Piece of art throughout all of art history, just one piece from anybody. Who would it be?
I was going to originally say The Daughters of Edward Darley Boyd by John Singer Sargent, which is amazing.
Fantastic painting.
But I did it as cats, by the way. You have to go to my website and see that. The Kittens of Edward Darley Boyd. But I think, though, I'm leaning towards some Raphael or Bouguereau Madonna.
Okay.
Because there's just like the loveliness of that, and they're just so, at 9/11, when everything shut down, and they were saying they were going to put everything in this National Gallery and the Smithsonian in a vault, maybe. They didn't know what was going to happen. I threw my kids in the car and drove up from Northern Virginia and just had to stand in front of this Raphael for a while. And then I went home. That's all I needed to do. I said, if you're going away for a while, I got to see you. So although I love John Singer Sargent, there's something great over there.
Well, so that leads into another kind of fun question here. if there was any person throughout art history that you could have a conversation with, who would that be?
I thought of that, and it wasn't kind of a person, but I think I'd like to be in on
Or a group of people. Could be a group
a
too.
roundtable discussion with the pre-Raphaelites or the Impressionists or the Algonquin Roundtable of Writers, or some of those groups. And then I thought about it and I said, you know why I want that? Because I really just want a reunion with my old art school friends and sit down and rehash where we thought we were going when we called ourselves the Art Dogs, and what are we doing now, and which ones of us are still doing it, and what did we do?
Oh, that's fantastic. That's
so
fantastic.
On you Corcoran people, we need a reunion.
There you go. Anybody that's watching this live, we're going to rewatch this later on. You're on notice now for getting that reunion that started. Now, we'll just do two more, and then I think we'll take a break. Here's one that Julia and I had a lot of fun talking about. Have you ever created something that you refused to sell, and if so, why?
Yes. In the beginning, I drew a lot of pictures of my kids, and even though they were all stories and stuff, at one point somebody bought 2 of them of my older daughter, and then a dear friend came and wanted to buy a 3rd, but my not selling it was also, I haven't had a chance to show this. The first year or so, it's eligible in competitions, and but my younger daughter said, "Mommy, make it stop." She just couldn't see all these pictures of her sister flying out the door. And even the 2 that I sold, I sang to them, "Kiss Today Goodbye" from the chorus line. Ran around and sang to my art and said, But pretty much most of them I would sell, but I know that sometimes for my kids' sake, if I drew her beautiful little Ruby Cavalier King Charles Spaniel with a crown on its head, I don't want to sell it because I know she wants it, until I draw a better one, and then she might sell that one.
That's fantastic. I love it. And by the way, the King Charles Cavalier, I have a Cavapoo, a King Charles Cavalier, and a miniature poodle mix. So we're speaking the same dog language over here.
I have a collection of Cavalier art, and the rubies are the queens of all the divas of the Cavalier.
There we go. That's my favorite Disney movie was Lady and the Tramp, just because Lady was such a beautiful little puppy in that movie. So. Okay, so I think we have, we'll just do one last question here, and then we'll give you a little bit of time to kind of plug yourself, some of the things that you're doing, and we'll talk just a couple more plugs for the American Artist Professional League. So let's just do one last one here, and how about do we do, well, this one could be a little bit interesting. Is there one thing about the art world today that you would change, and if there is one thing, what would that one thing be, and then why?
I would love for people to stop running around calling themselves self-taught, because I think they're just taking a little extra credit. The fact is, even those of us with an academic training, like I said, nobody was teaching colored pencil back when I figured that out, and I didn't think works on paper were allowed in galleries. So I did my colored pencil like in a vacuum in my house as a mom for how many years before I started showing it as my kids got older. And I kept saying, oh yeah, go back to oil painting. Oh yeah, go back to traditional portraiture. No, I'm not. I want to do my non-traditional narrative work in colored pencil, and that's me, and that's all I'm going to do. But I think that we're all, whether academic or not, you got to credit all those teachers, even the YouTube videos. They taught you something. You're not self-taught. But we are all experimenting. We are all creating. That's part of the process. So it's not, how do you teach yourself something you don't know? you don't. You discover things, and we're all discovering and creative. That's my Great Pyrenees. You thought something. We've got the big dog and the little dog. Anyway, yeah, we're all experimenting and creating, and I find that you know, you have all these colored pencil artists already in the group. Tanya Ganto, I love, Nancy Jacy, others, Karen Colville. I know their work, but we all work differently because somebody could come to it from a drawing background, somebody could come to it from watercolor, somebody could come to it from oil, and we all just kind of do what we do with it. I've met people who don't even know what the Meriche medium method of painting with oil is, and it's like, and that's what I was taught, you know. We all do different things with like the same medium, and we're all discovering things, and we've all been learning things along the road. So it's kind of a little pet peeve of mine that you're not really self-taught, and when you do that, I've heard people say it who took my classes for 3 or 4 years. So I went, well, thanks.
No.
You know, it's like, yes, what you're trying to say is that you're very innovative on your own and that you didn't get that art school academic training. And without that, you went this own, you know, self-guided path. And then I point out to my students, you go self-guided onto YouTube. You don't know what you need to learn that you don't know. You know, I had the teachers who said, you don't know this, and I'm going to teach you in a very harsh way. Like something you don't know and you didn't know you needed to know. And then you got to know it. And if I go onto YouTube and just pull out videos and say, I'm going to teach myself how to do this, do you know what you're looking for? Or do you need somebody to kind of guide you through that? And kind of, you know, you can do art school a la carte, but you need to, it's nice to have a little guidance. So some of us teachers offer that. I mean, I have a mentorship program, but I only take like 3 students, and that's, you have to get on a waiting list. So that's my pet peeve in the art world.
Okay. Well, it's also very valid. I don't think I could disagree with you with pretty much most of what you were saying there. So to that end, I think what we'll do is we'll say thank you very much for joining tonight and talking about yourself while you joined the American Artists Professional League.
And I will say one thing. I do, if you forget how to spell my name, it's just lisarts.com, Lisarts. And I do teach online. I was about to just say, do you want to give yourself a little bit of a plug here? Where's your next show at? Where can people see more of your work at? You have an Instagram, you have a website. Go ahead and give your plug. Yep, it's Lisa Zadravec on Instagram and on Facebook. And if you forget, like I said, it's just Lisarts, lisarts.com. And since I teach online, people can I've had people in other countries sign up and take my classes. I have one-time classes, monthly subscriptions, or you can just, you know, buy the recorded version. I don't do anything fancy. They're not all edited with music and subtitles. It's just a recording of the class. But if you join live, the thing you get is you get the feedback, you get the critique, you get the person who's leading you to what you didn't know you needed to know. And my students are funny. They sit through the critique of everybody else because, you know, if one person's having a problem, somebody else is too. And they like to learn from each other in the critique classes. So those are worth it. My shows are so many coming up. But if you're in the DC, Virginia, Maryland area, DMV area, the Waterford Fine Art, go to Waterford Fair VA, and it is a wonderful and worthwhile art show. We have both a fine art show that's judged, and we have this Art Mart, which is great studio clean out. You can't put anything in there that's over $450, and people come and buy. I'm telling you, in one weekend, I sell $25,000 of art on that weekend. So come and earn your part of that. So Waterford Fair.
Sounds like I know what I'll be doing. Trying to sign up for that. It's not for this year, for next year.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and then again, for everybody else out there, if you are not a member already, join us here on Instagram on every Thursday, 5 o'clock. We're going to be interviewing more board members, and then you, our members. I want to talk to you, our members. We want to get to know everybody. That's what's great about social media, putting the social back in social media, talking to one another, seeing what everybody else is doing. I think that's so awesome. Here we are with these supercomputers that are in our phones, that are in our pockets, these phones that we have here that can let us talk to one another, share our art, share our experiences, share some really great show opportunities, because I live by Rehoboth Beach, so going over to DC is not that far. Did a bunch of Virginia shows earlier in the summer, so I'm always in that area, so I'll be on the lookout for something like that myself. And if you're not a member to the American Artists Professional League and you think that you could be, you can sign up. All the links are in our bio. You can go to aaplinc.org and click through that. You'll find all the applications you have. We have a bunch of great shows, again, right now on bidsquare.com until July the 25th, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? We are based out of New York City technically, so everything's going to be Eastern Standard Time. You can go to bidsquare.com for the summer studio auction. So this is a great opportunity for you to bid on. This is a little different because artists basically set a price and then they say, here, this is a starting price, and you have an opportunity to bid on some of the best representational, traditional realism art that's out there. It's a great opportunity. This has been a lot of fun. We've done this now a few times. I know I had a lot of fun doing it last year, so I was happy to take part in it again this year. So again, check all the links on our bio. You can go to aaplinc.org. And I'll say thank you again, Lisa, very much for logging on tonight.
Thank you.
And we'll see everybody next Thursday. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.